game change.
So, hello everyone. It's been a while since I've done any streaming. I've kept meaning to, but things have come up, work and everything else, or I got messed up my setup a little bit last time I was going to try, and so the setup on the spare PC isn't currently working where I was to actually do the stream, so that didn't happen. But anyway, I'm back at home, and yeah, I'm going to do a bit of a MAME stream. We can look at some recent progress, or we can just play some games. I'm not really sure. We'll just see how it goes, but I see many of the regulars are already in the chat. Aussie Guy and MAME Fan and Carlo are there, so welcome to you all. Hopefully we'll see a few more people drop in over the course of the stream, but if not, I can't really blame them because the channel's not been especially active even for progress reports of late, so maybe no eyes are looking this way. But anyway, so one thing that has been happening lately in MAME is some progress to the Sega Model 2 driver, and it's not perfect, but it's incremental improvements and some fairly important fixes. So I figured we'd kick off by playing a Model 2 game. I've just picked Psycho's Pilot Kids, which I think may have improved in the priority sorting area. So yeah, let's just change over to that then. And as always, if there are any issues with audio levels, please let me know, because it's actually kind of difficult for me to check those things myself. So you know, there are meters on the screen, but I can never actually be too sure if things sound okay or not. So yeah, here we go, the title screen. I think it's meant to be quite dark, but maybe not this dark, but we'll let that one slide. How about an explanation of how CPS can handle 900 sprites? I mean, without actually diving inside the inner workings of the chip, I don't personally know what design features mean it can do that, or any of these chips for that matter. It's all about the silicon and how they were made. And that's not really something MAME concerns itself with. So yeah, this is a shooter. I mean, Psycho are mostly known for their Strikers series, but they did a few games on Model 2. They did this and the slightly more 3D Zero Gunner. So this is kind of more a traditional Psycho game, but with some 3D models instead of the usual sprites. I don't think it's regarded as one of their all-time classics, but you know, it's one of those games where you're controlling tiny toys in large landscapes. Quite a popular style, really. Got quite a lot of Toy Story-based things that go for a similar look, and I don't think it's one of those, isn't it? Here we're fighting a nice little helicopter, and plenty more tiny helicopters. I still didn't do that stream, you know, based on Biffo's power and his love of helicopters, but that would certainly be one to call out if I was to ever consider doing that. And hey, we've got Cow Appreciation Day coming up soon. I think it's a couple of months, isn't it? Unless I've missed it already again. So maybe we'll have another cow stream if I get more into the routine of things with this. But yeah, in this you can fire out these stars that will lock onto things, and then do a more powerful attack, I think. I'm not quite sure the mechanics. Also, you can shoot a lot of the bullets in this one, which is kind of handy. So yeah, you see, I think there were quite a lot more priority glitches in this part, the recent improvements, where your character would end up going behind things, and it's not ideal if you were trying to avoid bullets. Yeah, not all of the stuff works Pirate Gamer Boy, but there have been some recent improvements, and by the sounds of it, there are more to come. So, what should that's we've not got any cows here. Some pigs. Yeah, I don't know how playable all the games are, and I know there are certainly still some problems, but some of the big issues, like the Sega Rally one, where the cars would just fly off the track, have been fixed. And you don't seem to fall through the track on corners anymore. But apparently the CPU car speeds are slightly different to the arcade, and that's due to the way the CPU does maths and grounding and all sorts of other stuff. Somebody's been studying it quite extensively, the person who's been making the pull requests and changes to improve it in MAME. And yeah, I don't know if the Model 2 emulator can get that correct, actually, because it's a very interesting detail of the CPUs and how different ones handle maths operations in different ways, and all that kind of thing. Oop, and I've been hit. So, you know, same type of issue you have with some Naomi emulation, even outside of MAME. you'll see maybe some of the track demos don't work properly because they're relying on calculations that are slightly different in emulation to what the CPU would be doing. Yeah, this is, I guess you could call this a cute up anyway, couldn't you? Because it's, say, all the toys and cute little graphics. The polygons probably haven't held up as well as a classic 2D art, but... So I don't quite fully understand the mechanics though, because I put the 2 stars on the enemy there, and then the enemy helicopter seemed to be attacking the boss. Flying off the track was pretty cool, but it wasn't really correct. I think maybe some keep an old version of MAME around for nostalgia purposes with that one, because it was kind of hilarious, wasn't it? Especially the first time it happened, because I wasn't expecting it. Yeah, that should be fixed. So there's another channel that's been showing videos of even the 2C stuff running in MAME, so yeah, you can smell it. But that's not been submitted yet, and I don't even see a pull request for it, so I'm not quite sure where they got their changes from, but they were showing House of the Dead, which, say, doesn't run in the build I've got. So I imagine that's going to be submitted sometime soon. But yeah, this has clearly got some additional mechanic I don't understand, with the linking and the stars, whereas I'm just blasting everything. So you see there, I've linked those two, and so yeah, you link the thing. Yeah, there's clearly more going on to the mechanics of this game than I know and understand, but I've not really researched it. I don't believe it was playable until this point really before, and it's now fairly playable. And yeah, I put more lives on by default in the settings menu, because it means I'm going to be spamming the coin button less. As anybody who's watched me play before will know, I'm kind of terrible at most games. This is no exception. Ooh. Played a VR game called Kid Pilot. I guess that has nothing at all to do with this. Ooh, what happened there? Something got me. Giant squishy. So yeah, now the bullets are getting quite fast, which I guess this is where the game decides it's going to ramp up the difficulty a little bit. So yeah, what is Psycho was formed by former video systems staff, as Aussie Guy mentions, which is why you'll see a lot of similarities between the games. I mean, the shooters all feel almost like they've got a common base, and the power icons are quite similar, if not the same, between some of the later video system games and the Psycho games. But of course, video system did keep going and were doing their own stuff on the Neo Geo at, I think, about the same time, weren't they? So it's almost like they split in two, and then both of them kept doing the same thing for a while. And yeah, I think the Striker series is probably better known than the Aero Fighters. Although there is a new Sonic Wings game, which is the same sort of Aero Fighter series, coming out soon. I think it's Sonic Wings Reunion on the modern platforms. I don't know if it's going to be any good or not. I've not played it yet. I don't think, at least the physicals haven't shipped yet. I don't know if any digital versions of it out at the moment. That's always nice to see, you know, older games being brought back. So yeah. If you've not given the Model 2 games a try recently, definitely worth having a little look at them, and probably following any progress that might be happening soon, because this is not all the progress. Say some of it's not being submitted yet, but no, let's not continue on Pilot Kids. As you can see, though, it is running much better than it did before, and I think you could probably call it a playable game at this point. I've never tried completing it. I don't know if there's any parts where the emulation really falls apart. Zero Gunner 2 needs a proper sequel. Yes, it does. I mean, there was the Under Defeat thing, wasn't there, which is kind of similar, but also, say, Naomi Generation as well. Not that similar, but it was kind of helicopter shooter, multi-directional. In fact, should we have a look at Zero Gunner, because I believe that one is also quite a bit improved by these recent fixes. Yeah, let's fire up Zero Gunner. Same company, but a bit of a more modern game. They were breaking away from their 2D shooters with this to do something a bit more properly 3D. So yeah, we've got a nice animated intro here, and I always like it when an arcade game puts in the work on the presentation, because that's what many people in the arcades are going to see if they walk past the cabinet. And you want to show a bit of gameplay. Well, you want to show enough gameplay to make them want to play the game. Well, I mean, there are some games where they don't even show a demo gameplay at all, which is kind of bad. But you want some decent track graphics, a bit of an introduction to the game, sell the game to people, and sell it on the story a little bit and the gameplay. I know, but yeah. Here, of course, we've got a bit of background before you play the game, and it shows you what the game's about. A multi-directional helicopter shooter. It's a little awkward to play if you're expecting traditional controls, but you think this one's rubbish and too unbalanced, do you, Carlo? But yeah, let's have a try with Zero Gunner then. I don't know, let's just pick the Apache. Traditional video system. Or Psycho. Different start stages, although quite often they're randomised rather than being selectable. So yeah, if you lock onto things, you keep firing in the direction of them as you move, which is where the controls get a little bit weird. And again, well, it's a bit similar to Undefeat. Everything's a bit too dark, unfortunately, which is again one of the current issues that still remains in the Model 2 emulation. The palette handling seems off, like everything in Daytona seems a bit too bright, and in some other places it's a bit too dark. However, all the detail is there. Potentially adjust the screen brightness to compensate for it. Don't know the green strategy here, but yeah, the bullets are all visible now, and I think one of the problems before was that a lot of the bullets weren't visible, which again is kind of important on a shooter. Hey Christian, and hey great John Zini, welcome, I hope you're all doing well. And also R2 as well, I see you up there. Sorry, I missed you your first message. So I've only got the chat in quite a little window over here, and I'm trying to concentrate on playing some game with big bullets. But I hope you're all doing well, and good to see you. If you're new here, thank you for joining. I know it's been a while since I've streamed, so could be you've been here before and I've forgotten, or you could have just subscribed at some point in the meantime, or just decided to drop by for the first time. But, anyway, welcome and good to see you. So there we go. Let's first level. Now, as I said, don't expect quality gameplay from me on these things because I'm not the greatest gamer. So it's more a demonstration of what's going on and just some games that people might not be aware of. Okay, I'm non-arcade. Yeah, I don't know really what the source of the other issues is on the Model 2. It is noticeable on a lot of the games, and it's just strange that different games almost have the opposite problem. Some are too bright and some are too dark, and yeah, hopefully it gets sorted out along with the rest of them. One good thing is these days, unlike early days of Model 2 emulation, is there are plenty of YouTube videos from real hardware. So if anybody is trying to improve the emulation, they've got a good set of resources available. I mean, you know, some glitches that they might think are emulation glitches might not be, because these Model 2 games were actually kind of glitchy on real hardware at times. 3D technology has moved, people didn't all necessarily know quite how to program it properly. So yeah, it always helps to have that kind of reference. I'm assuming the people that are improving this are making use of those references at times. But yeah, lock on. Bullets also feel so big in this. I don't know. It's not a bullet hell, I'll tell you that much. Just big, chunky bullets. I guess it gives some perspective. Yeah, I've seen those Kyle's Daytona mods. I don't know if they were ever actually popular back in the day, but it was another one of his interesting ventures, shall we say. I don't know. I'm not. His contributions to the arcade and computer industry will always be remembered, but maybe not for the reasons he'd like. I suppose, though, yeah, I'm doing terrible at this now. I was always doing terrible at this. This is much tougher than Pilot Kids, and you have to concentrate, not try and read the chat. The backgrounds in a Darius Gaiden Extra version could be fixed. I think some of those might be broken on the PCB. Great John Z, Zini. Because looking at the register rights, it seems that if you go from certain stages to other stages, it doesn't set things up correctly. And given that Extra version is only a sort of semi-official limited release, it might just be that the game's broken on hardware. I know some things are definitely broken on hardware because people have shown videos of the effects in places that just look wrong. So it might be some of the ones that are currently broken in MAME really don't even work on the PCB. Not saying that's the case for all of them, but some of them might actually still be broken on hardware, because a lot of the recent Taito F3 work has been verified against hardware and based on hardware testing, and the way a lot of the registers work now are better understood. So the ones that are still setting things up a bit weirdly in places might just be not quite right on hardware. A bit like that issue with Arabian Magic, where if you try and play it before it's run the track mode for the first time, it will probably crash on the first boss because it doesn't initialize something until after the first track mode, which is kind of silly, but again, it's a bug in the real game that's confirmed on hardware now. Were sexy Parodius transparencies ever fixed? There was some recent work on the Konami drivers. I don't know specifically if the transparencies there were fixed, but there were some improvements. Probably stream friendly enough to play it, Buzzy. So maybe we'll fire up a bit of sexy Parodius and have a little look. I say I don't know if they're being fixed, but it's a fair enough game to have a quick look at, isn't it? And this is where I'd better be careful of the volume levels. I don't know if that was a glitch, Dopefish Justin. I've not looked at the original videos of Zero Gunner. Oh, and thank you, RGHT 5433 for the £10. In that case, it's Santeri. Sorry, I'm surprised you're using a random name there, but I see the message. Thank you, Santeri, for the £10. And yeah, it's been a while since I've streamed. I think the last one was before Play Blackpool, maybe. Because I did a quick stream saying I'm going to play Blackpool. I might see people there, and be back in October. But yeah, thank you, and it's always good to see you. I say you were talking about maybe doing some streaming collaboration, appearing on stream, or talking about your favourite games at some point, I know. And yeah, I'd say if I get back into the sort of routine of streaming, that would still be a good thing to do. But the £10 is much appreciated, thank you. So anyway, Sexy Parodius. Now, this is a bit loud. So let's bring the volume down a little bit more. That should be better, shouldn't it? Anyway, let's take the pick Viper and auto, even though man is probably a better idea. So, I don't know whether transparencies are broken in this, so I don't really know what I'm looking for. And so I don't really know if they're going to be fixed or not. Yeah, we'll have a bit of fun with it. Classic. Select the auto and test over. I don't get control of the parts. Yes, one of the classic Konami arcades. Surprisingly low resolution output for the time. I mean, these kind of run at SNES resolution. Other than the high resolutions you might expect from an arcade game, but still, Konami made good use of the platform. The other thing is the platform can actually output high resolutions. Oh, you're in Japan for holidays. That's how is it over there at the moment? I guess probably a lot of people excited for the Switch 2 based on recent news. Look, it's little cows. But it's not a cow spoon. Oops. So this has got the twin delve with an Anton the twin. You either love it or hate it. I mean, some of the other games on the hardware do run at high resolution, but for these shooters, they just chose to use this sort of SNES-like resolution. I don't know if they did it with home ports in mind or just felt it worked better, but yeah, it's kind of odd. Should expect arcade games to be high resolution, but then I guess it makes fancy effects, I could say. Then you look at things like the football games, and they run at, I think, twice the horizontal resolution you've got going on here. It was possible. It seems like a fair upgrade. So the whole game key situation is a bit annoying because I'd rather actually buy games, not keys, because games on cartridge they run from cartridge and don't take up space in the system. When you've got a lot of games, that's kind of important. Rapidly fire. I mean, hardware-wise, though, it seems like they've done the right thing. And there we go. An army cows instead of Namco cows, yeah. I don't think we covered this one on the previous cow stream. In fact, I didn't even know there were cows in here. But I don't really play this one without. Yeah. Good deal. I'll have some new braids. Crashing into enemies is not the best idea. Let's stick with the big vehicle. Back to the start. We've got to love checkpoints. Okay. One interesting Konami improvement was, well, there were some fixes to, Violent Storm, but the game is still far too bright. We did find that the protection was handling the palette in one area, but only the test mode for the colour bars, not the game, which was a bit weird. Yes, this is just Konami madness, really, isn't it? I'm dead. No, can't do that. Oh dear me, that was not the best. I think we go all the way back. Oh, we did go back to the start. That's all right. So I thought we did go back to the start on this, but looks like it's just the start of this section. But there does seem to be transparency into the water, but I don't know if that's always worked or not. One game I'll never understand how they didn't quite get the transparency right is Neo Geo Polestar. because the game's got code to change the ship colour and enemy colours when you're underwater, and there's lots of areas with water in that game, but they only actually enable the raster effect to do it on the boss, not during the level where the water is. Maybe it's design choice and you just thought it looked kind of ugly with the blue tint in the regular levels, but yeah, that's always confused me. I thought it was an emulation bug in MAME for that was full star in the Neo Geo for a long time, but no, it's just how the game's on board. I've never been to Japan myself. I don't know if I'd want to go or not. I know a lot of people love it there, and it's their kind of thing. But I don't know. Maybe it's a place I'd appreciate more. Little umbrella. Are we missing a rain effect here? I've not really watched any reference material for this game. Playing it because it's mentioned. Just like these random news. Yeah, it's one of those throw everything at it type games. Just try and make it as weird as try and make it as weird as possible, and kind of works. I mean, it's better than when a lot of other developers try to do the same thing, especially on computers. I mean, you got all those games on home systems where they just threw random digitized lights in of anything and it doesn't really work. You got it in the arcades too. If you look at Kaneko's Explosive Breaker, that is just the strangest assortment of digitized sprites you're ever going to see. Sega's Cool Riders to a degree too, just all over the place. I'd love it there, would I? I say maybe it's just I've never really been sold to me, but maybe I'm just not much of a touristy person, and I might love it, but struggle to take it all in. I feel like I'm wasting most of my time there when I'm there, rather than doing. I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm maybe just a bit anxious about going and not fully appreciating it, because it would just take too much time to take it all in. I think the design document for this was just yes. I know I'm not playing it very well, so again, I know there are people who can once you see this, and I'm not even getting all like the power ups properly. Dying, and I put it on auto. Probably shouldn't even be an option. So, thank you for subscribing, Desm101. In the chat, feel free to say hello. So I don't know. There's some transparencies going on here. Are these improved from before? I can see the stained glass windows have a slight transparency. Again, I don't know if this is meant to be one of the games being improved or not. So I could be playing it for no reason, whatever. But whatever. I just think it's a nice little game to show anyway. So I don't think I was really putting him in his place. It's just a case of I think if you're going to make statements about how games looked on an arcade PCB, it's better to check videos first, because otherwise people end up with false expectations for the emulation getting fixed when the emulation's not going to get fixed because it's not a bug. But, you know, people do make mistakes. Yeah, a lot of arcade games have bugs. I was looking at Last Resort on the Neo Geo recently, and the stage 2 boss on that flickers and glitches so much on real hardware, it's ridiculous. But somebody told me that was a bug in MAME. It's like, nope, it happens on the Neo Geo. It happens quite badly. I mean, I don't know even why. I think that game is just really badly programmed. So yeah, I mean, with any arcade bug, it's always best to try and find a source and see if it actually happens on the board. So a lot of them do. But yeah, Castlevania references. That's the thing. This game contains references to a whole bunch of different games. I'm playing it incredibly badly, so at least the beams don't actually kill you, just stun you. I've been in the sun. I've not had that much sun yet, to be honest. But hopefully we'll get a bit more of it. Yeah, all the art on this is gorgeous. Picks different shit. You can pick a bunch of them. It's just play as an option. Pure from pure. And hey, Mick Macarak, welcome. We're good to see you again. It's nice that so many of the regulars here have just jumped straight into a new stream even after many months of nothing. Mambo is your favourite character. I mean, if I played the game more, I might have a favourite character, but again, I've not played this in years, which is why I said I don't know if anything's improved in the emulation recently or not. I know there have been a bunch of improvements. Mambo is powerful. I don't think much is going to save my gameplay, powerful or not. I'm just terrible at this. Terrible at most shooters. Of course I'm trying to play and read the chat, which never helps. I like the fact I've got a little paper plate. I don't like the fact that I've just had a stalactite ball on my head. So... Mambo. Flying fish. And just leave it on auto because I'm not going to concentrate well enough otherwise. The script is just a tiny little hacked up version of, I think it's a hacked up version of Discord notification script that writes it to a file. I did post it in the link to one of the videos when somebody else asked. It's nothing special. Yeah, we'll play a little bit more of this, because don't play this too much. And if anybody has anything else they'd like to see, then do mention it, because I'm not really prepared for this in any meaningful way. No, I can't remember which video it was. No, I know the question's been asked before and I'd post a link to it. Maybe the question's been asked more than once before and I've missed posting links other times. Hyperduel. That would have been interesting, wouldn't it? I could potentially do Hyperduel and keeping in things, maybe even about the last one on the Saturn. Don't shoot. I see what it is I want to shoot. Yes. What if I do shoot down here? Oh no, it's telling me not to shoot even though I can't avoid shooting it because... Hyperduel, kind of interesting. It's one of those. It runs on Metro type hardware, but really abuses the Vaster effects. I'm fairly sure if Blastwind was ever meant to be an arcade game, it would use the same board. very similar in terms of the Saturn ports. Okay. So yes, after I don't know how many credits I've used on this, but too many. I would hope not Dopefish Justin. They are done in a tasteful and cartoony way. That rainbow looked wrong. I think that should be blended in some way, shouldn't it? Just a gut feeling. So maybe this hasn't really seen many improvements yet. I think maybe the Konami fixes for other games. Yeah, that doesn't look quite right to me, but again, I've not got any reference to tell you for sure. Sen-Know. I think I've played Sen-Know on stream before. It is an interesting puzzle game. I don't know if it really works too well as an arcade game. Very energetic from my memory of it. And, what's the other one on Supernova? Is it Guts? And that's also really over the top. Those late Supernova games were trying to make their mark. Do I not stream on Twitch? I do sometimes on Twitch, but Twitch is sort of my backup option. When I was streaming more often, I'd kind of alternate between them. Anyway, we'll probably call this one after this credit, because I'm not really seeing much in the way of blending, so I'm guessing that it maybe has not benefited from any of the recent changes that there have been. GNet Space Invaders Anniversary, yeah, that works without issue now, doesn't it? Interesting one. Should I go with a bit of Hyper Duel? I think I'll go with the suggestion of Hyper Duel, because it's been a while since I've looked at that one. Again, with more shooters, which I'm going to be just as terrible at. But that's fine. Same on Twitch, MAME Hayes. The 12-star game. That's the weird GNet one, isn't it, Carlo? I seem to remember I didn't quite get that one last time I played it. So are we volume levels? So yeah, this got a Saturn port. The arcade hardware is not Saturn-like in the slightest. We get put to Saturn. The arcade, they were really abusing raster effects and the like on the arcade hardware for all these wavy backgrounds and everything else, which gives it quite a good look. It's dual 68K system with, say, the Metro type video hardware. So, interesting choice. It's still very loud. So yeah, you've got your selection of ships, pilots. It's one of those where you can transform into. I think I'm just going to turn this down a bit more. Maybe turn this up a bit here because it's blasting out at need. Okay, that was not the best of it. Let's try this again. One of the things you notice with this though is the controls are a bit laggy. Like you tap and you move quite far. You see that with quite a few Technosoft games actually. Thunder Force AC is the same. See their style, but it shipples with a little bit slightly. Hold the other button and turn this forward with the big flat later. And you have to hold it. Oh no. You don't have to hold the button. As soon as you press the other button, transfer them back. So. But yeah, they're pushing the hardware quite hard here, I would say. If you look at the other things using the Metro chipsets, they're not this flashy, but with 68K driving this, which must help. Hey Peter, welcome, and yeah, I decided to do a little stream. I hope you're doing well yourself. See you. It's good to see a lot of people. So if there's anybody that's dropped by, I've missed calling out because I am trying to play the games and not easy to see. Yeah, you've got a bunch of nice zooming effects going on here. You can see why there's I think the Saturn was chosen for the port of this, because the Saturn is good at all these kind of effects. It really depends quite heavily on. The other game on this hardware is the game known as Search for the Magical Error, which is a spot the difference game in moving pictures, wavy backgrounds, which is probably a waste of the hardware. Interestingly, that one does have an English title in ROM, which is how good to know that there's it's called Search for the Magical Error. Is the English title, although no English set's ever been found, so maybe it wasn't actually released in English. Even if it was, I don't think a Spot the Difference game is going to really make waves for anybody to have mentioned it and remember it, so... Road. Yeah, when you've got slightly almost floaty controls, it's not the best for tight tunnel sections. What was I talking about? The Spot the Difference game, the other one on this hardware, the Mag Error set in MAME, which, because the English name is Search for the Magical Error. It's quite good actually, but probably not what I'm going to play. I mean, Technosoft really knew how to use the hardware they had to do lots of fancy effects, and even just, even that sprite thing there, with the 4 sprites coming in, that's technically not that demanding on hardware, but it still looks nice. Yeah, a bit like Taito's Metal Black. A bit like Taito's Metal Black here with the wavy backgrounds too. Okay, it's got lasers that I didn't know it had. So you can only aim in the direction you sort of point, so it's a little bit tricky at times to aim where you want. I hold both buttons and do this, which drains some meter. But here, tell you what. I think it is struggling a bit with the raster effect though, because it was splitting the sprite palette in two where the raster goes. Technosoft did do a lot of great games, yes. There's some Model 2 stuff in the next MAME, but some of it's not been submitted yet. I mean, the stuff in that video, Esoterica thing, is not actually submitted yet, so I don't actually know where he got the build stuff in. And I guess it's just a private build that's being shared on Discord or something. So that's definitely not in the latest code. I don't even see a pull request for it. So I can't be playing Model 2 on, can't be playing House of Dead on the stream, although I did show off a few games. I showed off a bit Pilot Kids and Zero Gunner, which have benefited from the recent changes themselves. This is decent. Kind of tricky. I just think the green in the explosions looks weird too, but I guess it's good. Fancy about the palette here. I want to just shoot backwards though, so... Is that one of those games that should have a turn around button? I don't think it does. Yeah, is that what the original arcade was called, Mr. X? Miss MX Argent. I thought that was Mr. X. MX Argent. Say clearly, Blastwind clearly did start as an arcade game just based on the structure of it. That was the original name, Inazuma Savior. Then yeah, hopefully it does, but it might just be that it was abandoned before it finished arcade. I mean, I think we'll look at Blastwind because it's an interesting game. We do have to run this with the recompiler turned off. So, hold on. Here we go. Yeah, this is the other game. Let's also right now. Lower volume, please. Do I have a Discord? There's a link to it in the somewhere on the YouTube. I don't know what's going on in the community. Anyway, Blastwinds. This is the one that just based on the presentation, I have a feeling if it had been in the arcades would have run on the same hardware as the Hyperdual. I don't think we need to watch the intro though. That's kind of irrelevant. CD technology. So you can see this is vertically scrolling. Nice. It does have the same kind of feel to it in terms of the graphical capability. Which is why I think it was probably, if it was meant to be an arcade game, it was probably on that same board as Hyperdual. But of course, unless it shows up, we will never know. Right, soon. Of course, Saturn is a good match for that anyway, so these are fairly standard Saturn effects. Should probably see if there's a better dump of this actually. Main software this setup is still relying on a really old dump, which probably been redumped better at this point. So yeah, you have to push buttons to choose your path, which is a really weird mechanic in the shooter. Push that on. Feels a little bit janky. What the type of thing you'd expect from Euro shooting up random hit thing in the environment. I just redid my hair today, Peter, although I got quite a lot of dye on my face, as I always do. I played this off stream and I did just fine on the first level, and now I can't play it at all. Really should move out of the way, don't it? The concentration thing. You do have that secondary shot that homes in a bit more. I guess it's weaker as a result. Probably better if you're trying to dodge things rather than keep facing. I mean, I'm not great at games in the first place, so yeah, when I'm trying to look over there and read the chat and half pay attention, it's a bit tricky. MIDI world? What's mid? I've lost the I don't know why they refer to MIDI worlds. So they're just about the music in Microsoft games. But yeah, I mean, maybe as a Technosoft game, this is a little weaker. Maybe that's why. You know, the supposed arcade version, as far as we know. Not quite up there, but they usually higher standards. It's still a curiosity for a Saturn or Saturn emulator. So to play this in MAME, you do have to run MAME with the no recompiler flag, because the SH2 recompiler does not like this game one bit. Stall on stall when you're trying to start it. But anyway, that's game over. I don't even know if I get to continue again. I don't think I do. So no, because it's not an arcade game. I have limited continues, and it tells me I suck. Yeah, Blastwind, 1997 Technosoft. I think it's a Saturn exclusive. I don't think it was on the PlayStation. Could be wrong. Oh, tangent about MAME development and dumping. MIDI board is some failed music training thing. And you dump the Wonder MIDI software. Yeah, there's been a few of that type of thing. Emulated or dumped, hasn't there? I think wasn't there some progress with the Miracle Piano type stuff for a couple of years back. I can't actually remember. I know it's kind of cool to see. It's very difficult for me to cover a lot that type of thing, apart from the odd, keyboard and thing that gets emulated where there's a nice demo tune to look at. Even then, it takes a bit of research and working out what I'm going to cover, because it's not really equipment I'm familiar with. Yeah, average reviews, mixed reviews. Einhander would have quite made quite a good arcade. Yeah, as Aussie guy says, Blastwind is only on Saturn, so yeah, it's one of those Saturn exclusives. Maybe not one that gets mentioned all that often either, but there you go. What else was mentioned? Sen-Know, the Supernova game, wasn't it? I believe this is quite frantic. Let's see how loud this one boots up to. We'll probably have to have a look at some plug and play jank at some point too. So yeah. It's a very energetic track sequence for what is essentially a puzzle game. So, okay, I'll play it to be honest. Hey BM, welcome. This game. Are you not a fan, Pietro? So, it's a bit like things like Sparks and Hachette or Chip Panic, isn't it? Making loops, or even the old computer game Loops. So I can't remember the exact. I keep trying to press up to drop because I'm so used to Tetris games where you just press up to drop a piece quickly. So yeah, I think if you cover the whole playfield, you get a lot more points, and that's kind of the strategy. So just try and make a big circle around everything rather than tiny ones. But small ones give you some more points, just not many. Other than that, I don't really understand it that way. Good. Probably just mess that up. What disappears in that game? Yeah, you've really got to know the strategy and know what you want to do in this game, otherwise it's kind of difficult to plan. Well, the track mode's fancy, you don't really learn much just from watching an animation of lots of heads. I think things being blocked off for too long is bad, and them changing colours. Also, the music, yeah, the music loop's a little bit off. That's the case with a few of these Supernova games, actually. Apparently, I've not got a very big chain. My Sen-Know is 0, and so yeah. It also, I mean, look, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm still managing to play the game. It's not an arcade game that really kicks you off quickly enough when you don't know how to play it, which is a really odd design. So it doesn't feel much like an arcade game. It's more like a home system game that ended up on arcades for no pieces that they can. That's obviously a bad thing to do. I think if you leave them for too long, you do get those pieces dropped on you. I mean, I'm glad they were trying something a bit different, but every time I played this, I've just sort of gone, what? Feels like it belongs on Sony. It definitely feels more like a game that should be on a home system. So I guess joining those red things is bad. Maybe, possibly, I don't really know. It feels like not. Yes, or again, you'd sort of expect a tutorial as you go here. The first time you do anything, it should be telling you, don't do that, do that. Doesn't, and now we're suddenly back to a slow full speed. I remember when I first emulated this, I was just as confused with it back then because the Supernova stuff's quite an early driver I did at this point. Games like Kyvan make sense, nice shooter, even if it took many years to get the background priorities right. But this, it just kind of exists. And I like puzzle games, but I like puzzle games that sort of make a bit more sense, or at least punish me when I'm doing things badly. This doesn't. It just lets me keep going and hogging the machine and just not getting many points. Okay, Pietro, take care. Hopefully catch you again if I manage to do another stream. But yeah, I mean, for me, this doesn't really work as a game. I mean, okay, if you know how to play it and how to get big score, maybe it'd be pretty good. But in my case, it's more of a don't know. And, yeah, this should probably be on the Saturn, not the arcade. It does not make sense as an arcade game to me at all. But that's maybe just my opinion. Looking for... So yeah, what am I doing? So yeah, I did say it might be time for some plug and play jankiness, didn't I? And I think I'm going to put that one on because that was kind of curious. Well, not bloody plug and play; it's more of a handheld. And okay, let's get the streaming window back up. Let's go to the vertical. So yeah, this thing which I bought on eBay, which strangely enough was being sold by one of the members of TOSEC, the dumping group. It's a weird handheld running on VT1682 hardware, which is sort of one of the I won't say it's not really a NES clone because it doesn't really have the NES modes, but this one used a proper vertical screen, which is kind of funky. So these games were designed properly as vertical games for this unit. Let's turn the volume up a little bit. I mean, they're not the best, but I kind of appreciate the effort that's been put in, because they say they were specifically made for this unit. But you know, vertical units rather than just being games that run every unit. They did some of them did get later adapted for horizontal units, but yeah, they're not the best. They do actually make fair use of the hardware, with, you know, the new video capabilities. They're colourful. Versions on this one are kind of awful for, you know, like Gallagher clone. Gallagher clone you can move up and down. Definitely not gapless now. I'd say it probably is closer to gapless. You get so many extra lives on this, so it's ridiculous. This is probably one of the easy games. Not actually the one I meant to select, so play this briefly. Yeah, this was a fun discovery, because I was kind of expecting it just to run horizontally and be stretched to a vertical screen, but no, finding out this is these are all programmed to be vertical games, so if you run them without rotating them, they do just appear on their side. It's kind of neat. So, you know, I forgive the general jankiness of them, just because it's a curiosity. Now, there is at least one other version of this handheld that we've not managed to source, with, I think, 2 different games in, and maybe a 30-in-1 with some more games in, although the 30-in-1 could possibly run on another hardware platform. It's unclear. Unfortunately, I've not seen those for sale yet. Anyway, yeah, this one wasn't actually the game that I wanted to play, so let's reset. Hey Atom, welcome. The curiosity is more... well, in fact, there's quite a few curiosities in this, because things like Code Eagle are implementations of the arcade game Intrepid, which is a really weird thing to copy. But yeah, you've got this Dingle Hunt, which is very silly name, Twinbee Clip. It's actually kind of tough too. Bullets come might be pretty fast. It's kind of like they did actually try, but yeah, I meant to collect that. That's the power back, please. Oh, I pressed the quit button. No, don't do that. Imagine seeing this in an arcade, yes. So that was my fault. I pressed the quit button. The collision box is huge in this. Yeah, and it's janky, but it's just I mean, it's sort of high effort. Okay, this is quite late on, sometime in the 2000s, but I can't complain. I appreciate that somebody's made this, put the effort into, you know, creating this as a game. And I'm still missing the things. So I'm just instinctively running. There we go. Let's get my arms back. You have your charge shot as well. Please. Also super gentle. It's not really an original concept, and the graphics are clearly, at the very least, heavily inspired by Twinbee. There's certainly some other traced graphics. The Code Eagle graphic title page is clearly Pirate's Gold from the Mega Drive. Just again with the logo changed. There's quite a few things like that in this. Still kind of funky, and there's not all that much on the BT1682 hardware. So, you know, finding out that it just runs on that, it's kind of nice because it allows me to fix a whole bunch of bugs. Most of the stuff on the hardware is just awful. Developed by Nice Code, you think, Pirate Game Boy. Yeah, I think, isn't this whole thing a sort of combination of Nice Code and Jungle Soft games? If you load the second half of the ROM, you just get a 6-in-1 instead of a 12-in-1. That's all the games developed by one of them. I don't know if the 6-in-1 existed. I don't know if the 6-in-1 existed as its own separate handheld, but that's kind of the way this one differs to the horizontal unit. The horizontal unit is one program, whereas this is actually sort of two programs bolted together, which it bank switches between externally. Again, sort of suggests that the second program was finished first and may exist on its own somewhere. It's definitely a bit weird. Or maybe even if it wasn't sold, maybe it was just a proof of concept that they were sent and then they just created their own. But yeah, the horizontal one just uses the built-in BP bank switching for all the games, and this one has an external bank switch. Yeah, I mean, it's respectable. I was quite impressed. The high score does not let you enter your name, but does credit you as player, which is kind of weird because I thought the high score table was broken at first, but no, I am second in the table and just called player. If you play again, I don't think it remembers the old position. It will just name you relative to the other scores. So it's kind of a bit of a half-arsed high score implementation. But when these things aren't saving the score anyway, what does it matter? I was kind of impressed. Which one is it? Is it Ocean Quest? Is this one I'm thinking of? No, this is the basic Tetris one. Yeah, there's a decent enough implementation of Tetris. Vertical as well. There aren't enough Tetris games on vertical screens. Which is the other Tetris one? Ocean Fantasy? Yeah, this is the one. So this is kind of nice, because they implemented Jalico's Tetris Plus. So you've got a mermaid, and you've got your exits and stuff like that. So, yeah. It's not going to win any awards, but solid enough implementation of Tetris Plus. Yeah, this is this thing's perfectly friendly. This is a handheld for kids. New Steam shoot 'em ups. I'm not sure. I've not really been playing any. There's that vector thing. Is it Utopia Must Fall? It looks a bit missile commandy. That looks kind of cool, but that's not really that recent at the moment. Yeah, I mean, I'm terrible at Tetris Plus, but again, if you had this handheld and you like Tetris Plus, I don't think you're going to complain about this. It's a perfectly playable version of the game. As I say, I was pleasantly surprised. I expect nothing going in with these things, and sometimes they impress me. They play Next or Wrecker. Yeah, I've played those before. The NES ones. Was one of them on PC Engine? I have played them. Yeah, they're pretty decent. I think you get quite a lot of people streaming Wrecker these days. Can't remember which one next or next however you pronounce it is. But yeah. Anyway, I think we've possibly seen enough of this, because it is just a kind of janky plug and play. The better plug and play was the Epoch Tetris, or Epic, however you want to pronounce the name. But I did do quite a long video on that already, whereas that one, I decided to do a video on that too, but I thought it was worth showing off. Should we go back to a bit of Model 2, since we were talking about Model 2 earlier? Yeah, I'm not very good at them, but let's do that. Let's just go for a bit of Sega Rally. Touhou 20 is coming out on Steam soon. I don't get the Touhou series. There just seem to be so many games and so many spin-offs, and I've got games that seem to be part of that universe without even kind of realising it, intentionally buying them because of it. Some of them seem alright, some of them seem kind of terrible. So yeah, a bit of Sega Rally. Actually, since we're not in English, This just has a option there, doesn't it? That makes more sense. There we go. It's just a championship. And select the car. Yeah, the Radica test. Oh, you mean the Radica twisty one? Yeah, that's really awful. What are our controls? Okay. 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 And it's change camera. Okay, let's try this again. Now I know the actual controls. I don't know what's up with the tree textures there. Some of the where it looks like maybe they should be flipped or broken still. It's a bit like the Virtua Striker pitch. Again, there you see that's been broken. So it might be the draw directions wrong on the texture or something. Oh. Yeah, my controls aren't these days. But I just wanted to show that you know, you don't go flying off the track anymore. So it's not going to improve my driving, is it? They really look like they should be cows, but they're zebras. It is more of a safari, isn't it? Yeah, it's still missing the texture filtering, but otherwise it's pretty good. I mean, a lot of these flickery graphics, like on the wheels where you see in black textures sometimes appear, that does just happen on the hardware. Yeah, I mean, when cruising was first added, the PCs weren't really up to running it, were they? So, I mean, this just about stays over 100% on this machine. Not super fast, but you know, machines are there that can run them. Ooh. But it was around here when the cars would just fly off the track before, wasn't it? Which no longer happens. I mean, the collision still seems a bit dodgy there. Again, I don't know if that's emulation or if that's just the game. Potentially emulation, because it only happens towards the left side of the cars. So it's definitely not perfect. I'm not by any means saying that you know, Model 2 is perfect now, but a few little improvements here and there, and I suppose it'll eventually get there. Oh, come on, no, not through the checkpoint. Pentium 4s, yeah, they weren't all that great, and then people kept using them for many years for MAME, even though they weren't great at the time. So yeah, it's not perfect. I think those collisions are a bit off, and I think people have said collisions in other games are a bit off still. So probably maths bugs. I mean, even Model 1's got issues. The person doing the research at the moment does seem to be looking into the problems in good detail and understanding the code, though. So if anybody's going to get to the bottom of their MAME, it's probably the person currently looking at them. They do seem to be doing a good job. We can switch to a different Model 2 game while we're here. I have no idea if Grand Champion is going to be fixed. I don't think there's much interest in that hardware, and I think it's kind of probably hardware collisions and really janky hardware. Yeah, I think Star Wars Arcade is kind of mostly playable. That's Model 3, but I think you can play it quite well. A lot of Model 3 games don't run all that well yet. Fictitious tracks. I mean, yes, this fictitious oval. should really press the accelerator or something. That was a very long roll in the start. This one gives a real good sense of speed. Very light Daytona in looks otherwise, but just moves so much faster. You know, say like Daytona, big round circuit, bank corners. Doesn't quite have the same detail as Daytona and sort of backgrounds. But yeah. Very good sense of speed for a game of the period. Oh, Star Wars Arcade. Oh, that's Star. Yeah, sorry, I'm thinking Star Wars Trilogy. Star Wars Arcade. Yeah, that still crashes later in MAME, doesn't it? Though, and I don't. The radar works yet. I always get them used. Still don't think that should be called Star Wars Arcade in MAME either, because I think the arcade was just called Sega Star Wars, and the home port was called Star Wars Arcade. But now everybody calls the arcade game Star Wars Arcade. I don't think it was. If you look at all the flyers written on them and say Star Wars Arcade, they would just say Sega Star Wars. It's only when you get to 32 export that it actually says Star Wars Arcade. Yeah, I think the R-Zone version runs in MAME, doesn't it? I think I may have streamed it before. It's not quite as good as this. There's something quite soothing about just racing around in circles. That tells you you're not very good at racing around in circles, which you will do very shortly. What if I do that? Oh, you get a free crash. Yeah, I think they called the 32 export that just to tell you that it was a port of this Star Wars Arcade game, not because the game was originally called Star Wars Arcade, because I don't think it was. Yeah, a bit of Indy 500. So while we're at it, we may as well put up the classic. There.
Please select a race course.
My encoding bitrate hates this game. Maybe it's set a bit low at the moment then, I don't know. I did have to set up some of the stream stuff again. But yeah, so the improvements have helped this too, because you can the view controls. Okay. Anyway, so now you can use all the different views and it renders properly. Previously, if you tried to use sort of the in-car views, you would have parts of the graphics missing. See, now all the views work. Is that the Kyle Hodgetts one we were talking about? I think some of the hacks are in there. I don't know if they work or not. I've never tried running them. Some of them do have their own protection. See, I'm not playing this properly. I just wanted to show that, again, there have been graphical improvements. Again, the weird popping on the Sonic thing there, same on PCB. Texture filtering is obviously still missing. How expensive that would be. The graphics are on a different thread, so depends where the bottlenecks really are as to if that will impact performance. And yes, I'm playing these on keyboard, so again, it's not show gameplay. Not everything runs. I think its last Bronx is still a bit of a mess, and say the 2C stuff doesn't run with anything that's been checked in. But yeah, the general improvements to Model 2 that have been happening lately. Let's we'll have a look at Violent Storm. I say the protection was found to be involved in the colours, but not the in-game colours, only the colours in the test mode, which is really weird. But yes, this screen now works. That screen did not previously work. The colours are all wrong because previously the colours were all wrong because it transfers them using the protection device. It does not use the protection device to transfer the colours in game, so we don't really know why they're still seemingly a bit too washed out. I mean, it could be just some different resistor network on the PCB that's meant to make it darker than this. Big Boris. Lower the volume a little bit. Yeah, I don't know why they protected the colour bars in test mode. It's a very strange thing to protect, and I think they only used that protection command in test mode there to copy the... It's like a DMA command to copy the palette, and then they didn't use it in the game. Maybe they just ran out of time. But yeah, this is the sequel to like Crime Fighters and the like. Obviously much bigger sprites. Again, Konami going all out really just to try and make something as over the top as they can. But it works. It plays smooth and fast and responsive, which is kind of what you want. Sort of where games like Guardians of the Hood failed is that they just feel sluggish and okay, guys, this doesn't. Better with more than one player. Yeah, I mean, it's always been smooth and fast and high, sort of high adrenaline, high. Keeps you on your toes. You move between enemies quite quickly. Keep you waiting too long, at least not at the start. Considering the size, quite often you get games with sprites of this size, and it works against the game because you've not got the space to move. But this game seems balanced in the way that it works. Protection in this game also does control enemy movements, directions between you and the enemy and you, so they know where to move. So that type of thing could be slightly wrong in MAME because it is still simulated. I don't even know it's an MCU, it might just be some hard-coded logic. Yeah, it's a decent game. It's a bit of a departure from the prequels. You could have expected a bit closer, though. You may have been disappointed by this back in the day. Overall, though, a good job. Well drawn, well animated. It's maybe a bit too late for it to be considered a proper classic like the older games. Yeah, you get to enjoy a bit of it quickly. I think again the better beat 'em ups do that. There are some that are just too slow to start or too overwhelming straight away. Or you've got to get the balance right, like any game. It gets busy now and it's starting to avoid things a bit more. It's just satisfying. Nice down there. No waste. I think he's got the most enemies on screen. Fair to say, Tad's Legionnaire. I think Tad's Legionnaire had like about 8 enemies on screen at the time. Yeah, I know Kyle did sue a bunch of people for saying not so nice things about him. No real context. Only really know that he made some rather terrible games. Cost a fair bit more to make than you would have even thought. Somebody posted on, I think it might have been the Alpha 1 video I did, saying how much that game cost to make, and it's like, how? It's worse than most sort of PD games. I had loads of PD games on the Amiga, just things that people had coded in their bedroom for nothing. And, yeah, most of those are of a high quality thing. For ones that. I thought he was mostly doing medical stuff these days. I mean, people do improve. People get better at what they do. It's just the arcade games were rough. I do appreciate though that he's one of the few people who tried to bring Boulder Dash games to the arcade. I mean, there was the official Boulder Dash port on the Deco cassette system, which was a terrible choice of platform to use it because it just didn't have the power. Then Database did the sequel, which sort of just captured the spirit of the original. How was it really? And other than that, we sort of relied on Kyle for his games, and he did a few of them. Diamond Run, Dangerous Dungeons, which then got bootlegged as Toffee, Super Toffee, and then eventually Digger Man, which MAME still lists as a prototype. I don't know if it's got this listed as a prototype just because it's sort of homebrew janky, or if Kyle never actually sold it. I mean, it's about the same quality as anything Kyle did. It's just a rough conversion using the sound from another game. To me, you know, it could just be he didn't make many of them rather than a prototype. Yeah, you get the idea of the same. It's a beat 'em up. I'm not especially good at it, just like any other game. I think there is another place in the game where this has been improved, like one place with a fountain where the transparency now works properly. But you don't really notice it. I just wanted to show the game because it's a game maybe that gets a little bit overlooked. It's one of Konami's better ones. So. Were there any more suggestions? Fade out between scenes, I think there are some better fades in this, from what I can tell. Right. That's that then. That was that's not bad. No, Atomic Buster. The House of the Dead doesn't work yet in any even private MAME builds. I think it's coming soon. But just not quite yet. So, where shall we go from here? I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all. I guess we could look at one of the other things that I've covered recently that has improved. The System 22 link stuff's still not been merged, which is kind of ridiculous because everybody apart from Vass was happy with it, but Vass just keeps changing the requirements, so I don't know. It might be forever at this point. Last Bronx doesn't work. Virtua Fighter 2 I've not tested. But since, you know, this... I should probably just play this one. Since I did show this already, but Primal Age 2, which was the previous version or the one before that? I think it was the one before that this got promoted to working. The original Primal Rage still doesn't work properly due to protection. However, 2 is now playable. It's still a prototype, it's still kind of unfinished, therefore a little bit messy. Kind of ugly, because that's just the art style they were going for. Yeah, I'd say it's kind of stupid. I think everybody's a bit fed up with Vass's handling of that, to be honest. even people from Supermodel were stepping in and saying, you know, it's what they've used for networking the whole time. No, not a single person has complained about it, but yeah. So yeah, it's Primal Rage, but primarily play as humans, which is apparently what Atari thought people wanted. People didn't want it. I think the problem is it's trying too much to be a Mortal Kombat game, as opposed to being what Primal Rage was, which was its own thing. I mean, I think somebody would say there are cheat codes so you can play as the dinosaurs, but it still doesn't really make up for it. I mean, would it have done okay? You know, I don't know. Would it have done okay in the arcades? I mean, I think people would have played it. But you know, it would have just been another game in an overcrowded genre, and this is PlayStation hardware, so this is even a bit late to the market, really, even for that. So I just feel a shame that all the effort went to waste. But sometimes that's what happens, especially with Atari. So I don't need to talk about just how many Atari games were basically finished and then never made it to market. Oh yeah, I think I'd rather play this over Survival Arts, but I know Survival Arts has its fans. It's a bit overuse of the ugly transparency effects and the like. And not playing very well because I don't know any of the moves. Survival Arts, yeah. Maybe if you get used to Survival Arts, it's fine. I've heard people say they like it, but I really can't get on with Survival Arts. It's just too fast and everything's too big. Yeah, if you press them all, you do that, which is fair enough. But it's the most impressive thing in the world. That's about the only thing I didn't work out when I was doing the previous video. I know you've got your basic Street Fighter type inputs like that, and filled them in all of them. So, I'm just briefly showing this again because I think Aussie Guy mentioned that I should look at the Taito GNet Space Invaders 2, which is fair enough. Probably. Some of the dance games, I think, I don't know which ones are improved too, but I don't usually play those on stream because they're typically instant match, blah 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 blah. Do it, yeah. I'd say I'm sure there's a list of finishes somewhere, but I don't have it on me. With this being PlayStation hardware, you do have kind of the advantage that you can have a lot more going on in terms of the background layers. So it's not sort of restricted to a set number of tile maps. I think fighting game players generally would start to have quite high expectations by this point too. I didn't know what I was meant to be doing. It just lacks character. I think that's the main problem. Primal Rage 2 everybody remembers as being the fighting game where you played with the dinosaurs. But it wasn't Dino Rex because Dino Rex is just weird. And I don't think really many people even saw Dino Rex. Thank you for playing this test version of Primal Rage 2. There we go. Yep, and this Primal Rage 2. Yeah, and I don't think people really like these claymation type figures even that much on home systems. I mean, there's clay fighters and things like that. I mean, they're not, I say digital, you know what I mean. Models. So, I mean, Soul Calibur was fairly upgraded PS1 hardware in terms of processor capabilities and the like, but yeah, the PlayStation got a fair bit of use in the arcades, the chipsets. Is this already installed or not? I don't know. It appears to be so. Space Invaders. This game does not make any use of the extra sound hardware GNet had. It just uses the standard PlayStation sound hardware, which is a bit of a waste, but then again, it's Space Invaders. What kind of sound you really need? It's probably going to be a 2-hour stream, so you've got about 20 minutes left. It's nice to be doing a stream again, though. So you can play the classic versions, the overlay versions, which everybody's kind of played before. That's got a background on it. But then there are the 3D versions, if you go over here, which, to be honest, aren't that good, but whatever. Come on, give me some fancy lines. Player 1. Game start. I noticed there was some Japanese sort of phone Space Invaders game done recently. MAME doesn't emulate any of those platforms, but that had a very similar look to the sort of behind the ship 3D Space Invaders. The frame rate on that one was terrible. I'm not even sure what hardware those phones are, if MAME could even attempt to emulate them. Kind of interesting though that there seems to be a big dumping scene for those Japanese phone games at the moment. What they call I mode or something like that. And somebody's also, I think, been dumping some of the weird digital distribution games off some system that they're not sharing, and there's a lot of stuff being dumped lately that MAME is not even looking to cover, and people that are dumping it either aren't sharing it or it's kind of a mess. So there's some versions of Taito games like Cleopatra Fortune being shown off that run on some weird system. The problem is you can't see where the alien is until it's close, because you can only see like half the playfield because of the silly 3D view. I mean, it zooms out there on purpose just so you can see a bit more, but it still really doesn't gel with the Space Invaders gameplay, does it? Space Invaders Infinity Gene. I don't know which one that was. I know there was that silly ticket game in a lot of arcades these days, which sure it's Space Invaders with a gun, I guess. The iOS game. Did they get the Switch release? I don't know. Can't remember. No, there's like the collection on the Switch. I don't think that had it on, did it? No, it's got Space Cyclone on. Space Cyclone is fun. Maybe I should play Space Cyclone after this. This is Space Invaders. Got 4 lives. I don't want 4 lives. Oops, I died. What a tragedy. What's the easiest way to game over Space Invaders? Not to try and lose all your lives, is it? There's a far easier way, which is the classic way, because it's one of those few games that has insta-death. Insta-game over, in fact. Not many games do that, have an instant lose all your lives game over condition. But Space Invaders is one of the classic ones that does. So there we go. Space Cyclone. So this is one of those kind of rare Taito games that for a long time wasn't dumped. And I actually did the emulation of it when it did get dumped. So that's what I played a bit of. Find it odd, these aliens coming down on clouds. And a big lightning attack if you let them build up their lightning machine. Some speech. I think that speech emulation was improved recently, actually, because dodge lightning attack. Because when I did it, it sounded very rough. It sounds pretty much okay. There we go, blasted. I think this is still missing some discrete sounds, like Space Invaders drop sounds, which I don't know if I meant to be the same as Space Invaders or not. But yeah, there were some sounds missing, but again, I can't really do discrete sound emulation. Hopefully somebody did draw up a schematic of the sound circuitry, so it can be done. Tank Battalion also has the instant game over the bases. Yeah, I guess it was some other thing in those other games. So you've got this constellation screen, which draws constellations in line with the star field, which is kind of nice. Nice little touch, teaching about constellations. I'm not sure arcade games are meant to be educational, but it's a bit of an extra thing. So yeah, this isn't actually a bad game. A lot of these sort of rare lost games are a bit weird and don't really play all that well, like say Steelworker, which is an interesting concept, but yeah. Well, you know, clearly unfinished ones like Bygone, which are barely playable. Well, this is you know, unfinished. No, this is a finished but fairly rare Taito game, which is sort of Space Invaders adjacent, let's just say. It does a lot more than most games of the era in terms of, you know, the variety on the gameplay. All these little different sort of big boss things that come out. They all do similar things. They blast you with laser, but there's, I think, is it 3 different types? The cloud mechanics different, not something you see in many games. This was by the same design was Space Invaders, as you guys says. Tomohiro Nishikado. I hope I said that correctly, but yeah. So yeah, I guess that's why it's on that Space Invaders Invincible collection. It's historically important and, say, related in some way. Yeah, so that's a bit of Space Cyclone. Did anybody suggest any games they might like to see as possibly one of the last games of the stream? I don't know. Because if nobody says anything, I could just put some Korean popera on or something silly. Oh, I mean, that's practically impossible to play with standard controls, Aussie guy. That's a problem. I did try and play that when I don't know. Did I do a video for it? Did I do a video? I know I tried to play it, and the whole wheel turning controls really don't match up to anything on a PC all that well at all. So I might have to skip that one because it's not clear what's going on if I even try and play it. So if you've got a different suggestion, I think that might be better to do something a bit different. I know it's been dumped and emulated recently, but yeah, it's kind of unplayable on a PC if you ask me. So let's have a look. Otherwise, I shall just try and have a think of a random game and go, that'll do. So, Airbuster. Yeah, I can have a look at Airbuster. That's a fair shout. Don't think anything's changed with the Airbuster emulation in a long while, but Airbuster's horizontal, isn't it? Yeah, More Asunder. Is this definitely worth playing? Oh, apparently I don't have the ROMs for the parent set of Airbuster at the moment because some extra files been added since I synced my sets, but I can run the bootleg. Yeah, that's a Kaneko shooter. It uses the same video hardware as the likes of Snow Brothers, but this is run by Z80 instead of 68K. Good power lights going on, because I mean it's a capable sprite chip. Is this one of the games that's got a weird protection whereby if it reads the same random number twice from a random generator, it resets? Is that a different game? I think that was this one. Odd way to protect things. You've got to make sure your random number generator never gives the same random number twice. I guess if it's some kind of shifter type thing, it probably wouldn't naturally. Try and return a fixed value that I'll address it won't work. PC Engine ports are right too. And is this one of those where the PC Engine ports considered better or not? I can't remember. I know the arcade hardware here is a little bit underpowered for the game, as you can see from all the slowdown there. A bit like Heavy Unit, they should have probably just gone for 68K. That's not a pickup, that's a bomb. I don't know when I'm going to have time to do some more streams, so I'm not going to promise anything, but I did want to make sure the setup still worked, especially after wiping the setup on the other machine by mistake. Otherwise you would have had to stream last week. However, I sat down to stream and went, oh, there is no streaming setup on this machine anymore. I didn't know it went. See if we've got a backup with that to restore on the machine. Yeah, this has a Genesis port. That's just Heavy Unit. It uses the Kaneko sprite. It uses the sprite trail effect you see in a lot of these Kaneko and UPL games. Phase screen. Mega Drive has load times. A bit weird. Maybe they're fake load times. I don't see why the Mega Drive would need load times. Maybe it's like those fake laptop. Well, not, I say fake laptop. Some of those laptop things, they have load times just so they look more authentic, like a real laptop, when they don't need them. Cool. I think when those Super TV PC laptops, I think during the load screen they were doing nothing apart from playing a load screen. It's loading nothing. It just wants to look like it's loading like a laptop would load, so it says loading for 5 seconds. This reminds me of an Amiga PD game. I think it's called Hyperdrive or something like that, where you're driving down a tunnel. I do like these fast tunnel sections. I'm not really good at them. That wasn't a shooter game. That was just a dodge everything game. Pretty good. Oh, no, that's Primal. Yeah, I do quite like this one. We're sort of visually it works, and stupid. Echo in general, I kind of fond of it. Severely underpowered now, unfortunately. It's not all it is. Poor time. I missed the... Nice that it tells you where the truck is going to go, but it doesn't tell you that enemies are going to come. I really need a speed car, but I don't have one. Yours. Very fast moving background there. Yes. There we go, cross down. I'm kind of reminded of some of the NMK games as well, like Mustang. They have kind of similar parallax effects on layers, although maybe better done here when it's used. I could have probably looked at some of the Konami games again. I think, is it Build I've seen some pictures as well in the recent versions. Racing Jam. I don't know which ones run well and which ones don't at the moment, but I've not tested in a while. Anyway, it's dying a lot. Music Airbus was run by Tatsuya Watanabe, co-founder of Peon. Are they current owners? Are they the current owners some data-y stuff, or is it Peon? What do Peon own? Do Peon own the Schoolfang series? Name sounds familiar. Speaking of Schoolfang, that still needs fixing in MAME because it still hangs for no apparent reason. I don't even know when Schoolfang started hanging in MAME, but I've tried it recently off stream, and Schoolfang certainly still crashes at some point, like quite frequently, even on the first level. And that does need fixing, and I keep meaning to look at it and then forgetting. But I did try it recently and it still crashed, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure I didn't use it because I had completed that game before in like an old version of MAME. Anyway, we are coming up to 2 hours now, so we're at 1 hour 58. But yeah, anything else been said? No, I think I've covered everything that's been said. At least I hope I have. Yeah. Anyway, so I said I'm gonna make this a 2 hour stream. Sorry, I'm losing my words. because I'm a bit out of practice and it was kind of unplanned, and I've got a few things I should probably be getting on with now. In fact, I'm even forgetting to change to my big video screen like that before I say goodbye to everybody. But yeah, do I even still have the? I still have the outro. I'm just checking the stream settings. The stream setup is still correct. I think everything is in place still. It's just not being used in a little while, so I kind of forgot where everything is. But yes, thank you everybody. I know there's been quite a few people talking today, and obviously we've had our regulars like Aussie Guy, Carlo, Main Fan, Atom, and quite a few others. But yeah, it's been good. Mass Ninja as well. Yeah, you were here. Recognise your name from a while back. Pirate Gamer Boy, Mick Mackelback. Yeah, there's been quite a few of you here. Proton was asking if the Model 2 drive is comparable to El Semi's. Not quite yet. There's still some work to do. Yeah, so I hope I've not missed any important messages. And if I have, just leave a comment. Oh yeah, thank you, Peter, for dropping by, and thank you for Santeri for the £10 donation earlier. And it's good to see you again. And hopefully hopefully we can get you on stream or get some some suggestions of games you like. And if anybody does want to just drop suggestions of games they'd like to see at some point in the video comments, I will read them and so say what your favorite games are, and maybe we can put together a stream of viewers' favorite games or something like that. But until then, I hope you all look after yourselves, and I will see you soon.